Welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is the AMX 13 F3AM, the Tier 6 French SPG, located on the eastbourne of Malinovka, and it's under the command of a fingernail clipping, and he's got the bounty rotation device, the improved gun laying drive, and rammer. Game on! 155mm howitzer mounted on the hull that would have come from an AMX 13-ton tank, so it's a very light arty. He's using the extra or non-stun HE to start with, 770 alpha, 49mm pen, 4 meters on the burst radius. He spotted the target straight away, an AMX 1357 rounds out. That was very close. I'd be surprised if that didn't cause any damage. Usually it's a good idea to go for the spotting bush on this map straight away, because there's always somebody who moves up to that bush, and in fact it looks like the AMX 1357 did. In fact, he's gone unspotted now, but we can see this guy, this Jackson. We're loaded, and instead we're dialing in on a VK, but we lose sight of him before he goes up the hill. So basically the bush that's sitting there is still available and should be a target. Oh, we just saw some timbers knocked down off that fence, so somebody is probably sitting behind that hedge. He's looking around for all the enemy tanks that he can hit. He does fire into that bush, and the shell disappears without an explosion, which means something was behind that bush and he got a direct hit. So yes, looking and seeing for something, some clue that the enemy's there, such as a fence line going down, was a very good move. He spotted a target right away. Okay, up on the north of the map, in the northeast corner, you can see the VK3001P is almost up the hill. That was a little late, but I'm not sure it would have done any damage though. The sole tank on our team that went up the hill, the VK3002M, is now a bit outclassed, and really he should be pulling back, because after all he's doing at the moment is spotting, and we're aiming for that bush again. Rounds out. No, if they were there, they pulled away. Now, the AMX 13 F3AM is really the only true airborne arty in the game, because, of course, it was used by the French for being flown out to their various colonies as airborne support. Oh, that was a direct hit! That one definitely hit the chopper, I think it was. We'll have to wait and see how much damage that did. Okay, we're lining up another shot. And there's an event going on right on top of the hill at the moment. But we're going after the chopper again. And yes, another direct hit for 201. Now he's loading the stun HE now, because obviously he needs to get some stun assists. That's got 630 alpha, 39mm pen, and 7.6 meters burst radius. There's the AMX CLC, and he's missing a huge number of hit points. He might have been the guy who was in the bush, who was being spotted. And, well, the round goes in, but we now know where one of the enemy arty is, because, yes, we spotted the tracer there coming out of the bushes. He's relocating it again. He'll probably wait for another shot from that arty. The enemy has got an M12 and an SU8, and we just saw the tracer in the arty he was waiting for. But instead he's going to aim it right up the hill. Try and hit the enemy tanks up here. Fires at the G2 and misses, unfortunately, but the enemy arty, the SU8, does not miss our M4A376 wet and wipes him out. We're 2 down on the enemy at the moment. Now he's still aiming up the hill. He adjusts his aim. Goes for the chopper again. Rounds out. And this time round he wipes him out. He's looking around a lot for new targets whilst holding his aim up on the north of the hill. Now he's changed his aim and he's now looking to the west. The Excalibur sitting near the cap area. Unfortunately, that guy just killed our T-52. And now we've got nobody covering the cap at all. In fact, the only person really covering the cap is a fingernail. At the Type 62, I think he suddenly realized the trouble we're in. Of course, he can do some spotting, and fingernail clipping can do some damage on the enemy. But the enemy could start capping, and I think the E-25's noticed it as well. At least I hope he has. It does appear that the enemy is ignoring the cap and is actually coming up behind us. In which case, the Type 62 is probably going to be the first one to spot the enemy as they're encroaching. But they are capping. Okay. M4A1 FL10, that's the one with the odd turret. The same turret as on the AMX 1375. But now we've got more guys going back to try and save the cap. That Burza is in a lot of trouble because right now he's not hiding from us. He's taking hits. 319 from that one. Okay, so there's somewhere in the cap. The most likely place is going to be in one of the bushes. If we can't see them, that's probably where they're hiding. We're loaded. He looks around, holding his right hand or his left hand mouse key down so that he can actually look around. In fact, he's building up cap points now because there's 2 in the enemy cap. He fires in and gets a reset from one of them. I think that was the biggest one. 38 defense points. There's the Excalibur. He was also in the cap area. Now he's decided he's going to stay there and try and fight it out with our Type 62. But there you go. There's a round that will wipe him out. And that's our second kill. Now, the other tank that was capping has stopped capping, probably because he's actually been reset again and wanted to get out before he died. We're now even with the enemy. We were behind, now we're ahead. Well, even. Now we're behind again. Well, the enemy just lost their AMX 1357 to our Crocodile. And the Crocodile is headed back towards our cap. And they've just lost their Bursa. So this enemy appears to be giving it away. I don't think that Cromwell will be there anymore. That's where he was last spotted. And they just lost the M4A1 FL10. We're looking around the battlefield for more targets, but there's only 4 enemies remaining. They've got the AMX ELC, a Cromwell. Oh, that was a direct hit. So he was in a bush nearby the bush he was last seen in. He was last seen in the small one, now he's in the big one. Yes, they've got the Cromwell and the AMX ELC 901. the M14, the M12 rather, not the M14, and the SU8. Okay, there's the M12. He's moved down to try and help Cap, but in fact now he's the one who's being hunted. Our Type 62 should be able to take care of him. In the meantime, our E25 is hunting through their forest, try and find the two Arty. Well, one of them's down in the south. He's just been killed. That just leaves the SU8. E25 didn't find him. Firing at the bush. Only 3 enemy remaining. We go back to the same bush where we saw the Cromwell. We just saw the Tracer. That's the SU8. And there he is. Rounds out. And it's a hit, but it's not a kill shot. And it does look like the Cromwell moved on. In fact, he's now been wiped out by our E25. The SU8's gone, and that just leaves the AMX ELC 901. Now we're guessing that he might be in the middle of the field. He is, and there he is. We managed to stun him, but now he's been wiped out, and that's the end of the game. Here's the end of battle stats, and that was an ace tanker game for a fingernail clipping in the AMX 13 F3 AM. He managed to get a bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. In this one, he managed to get 17. He also got a Gauze medal for doing more damage, exceeding 8 times the hit points of his own vehicle, a high caliber for dealing the most damage in the game, and a Confederate for hitting more of the enemy than anyone else on his team. His win rate from that one, 5,606, which is Super Unicum standard. Let's have a look at the team score. Well, there you go, right at the top of the table, 2,623 hit points. So some of those blind hits actually did do a lot of damage. He also, the next highest scorer was the Crocodile in his team, 1,871. And the third highest damage turned out to be the Caro P88 on his team, 1,498, just beating the Cromwell on the enemy team. When it came to kills, he actually was beaten by the IKV-652, who got 4 kills. The Gallica on the enemy team got 3, and then we got Fingernail Clipping getting 2 kills, alongside the Crocodile, the Vis-44-1, the E25, and on the enemy team, just their AMX CLC managed to get that, but he got an Onyx medal and a patrol duty as well during that game. And I think he was the guy who was actually smacked, because I think you can see that the blind hit, 348 hit points. Yeah, that extra no stun HE round that he fired into the bush really clobbered that AMX CLC. Going back to the details again, we can see that when it came to base XP, he's in second place as well. So 1,077 went to the Type 62, who got a patrol duty and scout. 1,025 went to a fingernail clipping. 1,024 went to the Crocodile. 3 players over 1,000 base. He fired 19 rounds in the game. He got 6 direct hits on the enemy, 1 penetration, and 17 splash. Damage of 2,623, all of it at more than 300 meters. Damaged 11 of the enemy, killed 2, and got 189 hit points of stun assist of 14 stuns. Yes, he didn't fire that many stun shells, but when he did, he still got some damage, but not a lot. He also got 38 defense points when he reset the cap. On a premium count, he actually made a profit of 32,882 credits. He got 30 bonds for a mission achievement and 10,765 experience points, including 9,228 for a mission completion. So a very nice game there in the AMX 13 F3, making the best use of that non-stun HE to extract a lot of damage on the enemy, and he certainly did that. Hope you enjoyed that replay. If you did, please give it a like, and thank you for watching.